Welcome to a special episode of that Lunchroom Chatter podcast. On this episode, man, I want to take a deep dive into Lake Lanier here in the great state of Georgia. Is Lake Lanier really a place that is haunted by its deadly past? Is it really an underground burial site that holds the long forgotten town of Oscarville, Georgia, that used to be a booming metropolis back in the 1900s? A place where so many African Americans were able to prosper, own land, own farms, and make a great life for themselves after slavery had ended. Is Lake Lanier really a place you go to die on the water? On this episode, man, we're going to take a deep dive into Lake Lanier, its past, the negatives, as well as the positives. And also, I'm going to focus on a lot of the drownings, the deaths, the mysterious things that have happened on Lake Lanier. So why is that? Why have so many people entered Lake Lanier and simply vanished? You know, usually when you drown, you struggle. But a lot of people who have witnessed people who have drowned in Lake Lanier have said that once this person went in the lake, they went down and never came up. So on this episode, on this special episode, where we take a deep dive into Lake Lanier, we're going to find out, is Lake Lanier really haunted? Has its deadly past been lying in wait to grab the lives of those who dared to enter Lake Lanier? So sit back, get comfortable. We got a good one for you guys today.
Brand new LCP.
Live's Caitlin Ross shows you what they deal with under the surface of Lake Lanier, its dangerous and deadly environment.
Clear and calm on the surface, Lake Lanier is anything but.
You can get yourself in trouble really quickly.
Lanier was built in the 1950s to provide drinking water and hydroelectric power for Atlanta. Recreation was an afterthought.
As they were building the lake, they raised the water level up to a certain point well below what we know of today as full pool, and then stopped filling the water.
From there, construction crews floated on the lake, cutting off the trees about halfway.
So today, those stumps are still there, and they're tall because this was forest land and farmland.
Also beneath the surface, old homes, barns, even a racetrack, which famously surfaced during the 2007 drought. You could see the tops of the stands, a haunted memory, waiting for spectators to show up for the next race. It's all good now, but when the next drought comes...
When that does, everyone needs to use extreme caution on the lake.
The Forsyth or Hall County dive teams respond to every rescue and recovery call.
Generally within the first hour, we're in what we call rescue mode. We're hoping that we can rescue someone.
No, I don't want to lose a diver.
Divers deal with frigid temperatures, near zero visibility, and all of those underwater hazards.
The bridges are like the trash bin for anyone traveling down the roads. They blew the old bridges in place, so you have concrete, rebar.
The divers work in teams, one person in the water and the other on the shore. They're tethered together by a rope and communicate by tugs on the rope. Divers say they never know what they're going to find.
It's bad enough that you got a loss of life, but you see their grieving family. And that's really why we do this. I couldn't imagine as a father, as a brother, as a son, to see one of my loved ones disappear and have to go by this lake every day and just wonder. That I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
That is a tough thought to deal with. Yeah. So the biggest takeaway from our day with the dive teams, always wear a life jacket, even if you are an amazing swimmer.
Yeah, that's right. And there are so many hazards and deep drop-offs. You never know what's beneath that surface.
So that right there should give you guys some insight into some of the hazards that are under Lake Lanier. Because as you heard him say, that a lot of times, he said after about 45 minutes to 1 hour, they are already in recovery mode. But underneath the water lies an entire racetrack. You have homes, you have a bridge, you have a concession stand, you have trees that were never fully cut down. And also on top of all that, you have grave sites that were never fully dug up. Now that's the part that people don't tell you. That's the part that my grandma mentioned to me when she mentioned things about Oscarville, because my grandma, like I said before, my grandma's from Georgia. She's from Augusta, but she told me stories. My grandma was born in 1918, and, you know, she had family all over Georgia. And Oscarville was the topic that came up a lot because those people, you know, the news often says they were driven out. No, but a lot of them were murdered. And again, we're going to get to that part because a lot of these residents were not driven out. They were killed. Because now, again, I hate talking about race, but we have to. If we are actually going to get into some of the deep, dark past of Lake Lanier, we're going to talk about the rape accusations. We're going to talk about how the night riders went into Oscarville and killed a lot of folks. Now, like I said, the media is going to tell you driven out because that is the safer way to put it. But no, a lot of people were murdered. You had families slaughtered. That is how the downfall of Oscarville began to happen. So listen to some of the relatives. You have relatives of Oscarville residents. They speak about some of Lake Lanier's dark history, the part that people tend to kind of sweep over when they speak on Lake Lanier. So let's hear from some of the living relatives of those Oscarville residents. This is a clip from 11 Alive.
Lake Lanier is a Georgia landmark, but buried below the surface is the town of Oscarville. And now we're getting a deep dive into the town's history. Here's 11 Alive's Latasha Givens.
When we started working on this story, we set out to track down descendants of Oscarville. Weeks later, we found a family who could trace back their roots 4 generations. They shared with us stories that were handed down about what the all-black town was like, including the night that led to its destruction. It was set on fire by night riders after they say a white woman was raped. Then later, it was covered by the body of water we now know as Lake Lanier. May Crow is buried here at this Gainesville cemetery, but the trail of destruction following her death stretches into the land surrounding Forsyth County, buried beneath these waves of Lake Lanier, where in 1912 nearly every black resident was forced out. That includes people living in an old black town called Oscarville. The community was formed in the late 1800s during the Reconstruction era.
There was a very strong community feeling among the blacks. About 300 children that went to some of the schools that were the black schools, and it was closely connected to the churches.
Georgia history teacher Lisa Crosby says Oscarville was a thriving black community, full of carpenters, blacksmiths, and bricklayers, but farming was the top trade.
So they really had kind of a miraculous farming growth here while the rest of the state was really struggling.
But then residents were abruptly forced off their land.
So the flashpoint, I think, is 1912.
This takes us back to the death of May Crow. The 19-year-old white woman was found dead in the woods near Oscarville, presumably after being raped.
Typically, the answer to white girls being raped was go to the black community and just start blaming people.
By nightfall, terror began to reign over Oscarville.
So from there, the rage and hatred in the community, mobs got together and they were called night riders, and they were riding throughout Oscarville and driving out the black community.
And the night turned deadly. You know, they were waking up by fires outside, fire bombs thrown in the church.
Filmmaker Bob Mackey recaptures those horrific nights in an upcoming television series.
Anytime anything happened, guess where everyone would go? To the church. Well, they attacked the church. People were hung, lynched.
Mackey's series features stories of direct descendants like George Rucker, who can trace his family back 4 generations to Oscarville. He tells the story of his great-grandfather, Bert Oliver, and the entire family being forced off their land.
Night riders came through. They had to leave everything. The main thing they left was property, and my grandfather had 100 acres.
Rucker says many relatives died as they tried to flee.
So when they got to the Chattahoochee River, from what I understand, they were told, when the mob got up on the bridge, they were told that they either had to swim or drown. Most of them didn't make it. My grandfather, one of them that did make it, he lost some brothers and sisters.
He says his relatives who survived settled in Gainesville.
From what my mother told me, buried all of them. He would sit and tell her this story, and he would just sit and cry.
Crosby says whites in the area took over the remaining properties. She says Oscarville farmers were specifically skilled in raising poultry, which set the pace for Gainesville eventually becoming poultry capital of the world.
You have a farm already going, and you had free land, so you just take it.
Rucker says his great-grandfather married his second wife, Beulah, and they built this school that still stands in Gainesville today. By the late 1950s, the Beaufort Dam was built and Lake Lanier was formed, covering up Oscarville and swallowing most of its history. Many believe Lake Lanier is haunted because of the high number of drownings. We spoke to officials who tell us because there is an entire town that includes structures and even forest areas with trees that are 60 feet tall, it makes it more difficult to navigate through, and someone can easily become trapped in debris, leading them to drowning. We have so much more on this story on our website.
Man, I want to clap it up, man, for that amazing reporting from 11 Alive, man. And you know, something that always surprises me, but then again, I'm not surprised, is that every time I come across these amazing pieces that people take the time to research and do interviews. That's why I played that clip, because like they never really have that many views for some reason. This clip came out over a year ago and it has less than 20,000 views. That's the crazy part, man. But one more time, man, shout out to 11 Alive for that dope, amazing piece. And like I said, man, you guys see some of the history, a lot of what went on. So when people mention Lake Lanier, oh, I'm going out on boating on Lake Lanier, I'm going fishing on Lake Lanier, that's scary to me. Like she said, you got trees under Lake Lanier that are 60 feet tall. You have entire towns. You have entire damn communities and cemeteries that lie under certain parts of Lake Lanier. So, and you know, now I think this summer they opened up this new water park. I forgot what the fuck it's called. It's a brand new water park that kind of sits on Lake Lanier. You're bullshitting me. You're bullshitting.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
I'm going to say right now, I know it's hot. It's already hot in Georgia, 95, 96, 98. It's some heat waves coming. But if you take the time and you go to that water park, I mean, have fun. But sometimes I believe in curses. Sometimes I believe that shit can happen based on how things were done in the past. Like I said, almost every year, it is at least 10 drownings, especially come summertime on Lake Lanier. You know, when more people are out on the lake, you know, when it's more populated. And sometimes, like, we had a fucking story, I believe maybe about 2 weeks ago, where a motherfucker was on a boat, his fucking seat fell off and he fell in the fucking water and he died. Like I said, it's shit like that happens, and it's been electrocutions on the lake. It's been fucking fires on the lake. It's been so much shit to where sometimes you got to sit back and wonder, is there really a curse? Because sometimes, even if you don't believe in curses, sometimes shit can happen and you sitting around like, bruh, no. Something got to give. And sadly, a black mom had to find that out I believe about maybe 2-3 years ago, where, you know, she lost her son. Dorian Pinson was found in Lake Lanier. He went missing in April and they couldn't find his body because, like I said to start this episode, a lot of times when people go underwater at Lake Lanier, they end up never coming back out. Never coming back out because of everything you guys heard, the structures, the buildings, the bridges, the trees. And sometimes when you go down and you get snagged on an obstacle down there, you end up never coming back up. So I want you guys to check out this story. Like I said, man, there was a missing basketball player a couple years back. I believe his name was Dorian Pinson. And, you know, tragically, he was found killed on Lake Lanier. And again, I'm not trying to scare anybody who live in Georgia or anybody who visits Georgia from going to Lake Lanier. I am simply trying to spread awareness because a lot of people that live in Georgia, like, it's kind of known. But people who come from other states, other places, I want you to be aware of what can happen and what lies underneath the surface. Check this out. The body of that missing upstate man was found at Lake Lanier.
Thanks to Fox Carolina follow-up. It took nearly 3 months of searching, but today, crews found the body of Dorian Pinson. Upstate native, a standout basketball star, was down in Lake Lanier, outside of Atlanta, Georgia, back in April with some friends when he went off of a pontoon and never resurfaced. Well, it's the call his family had been hoping for, but again, as you can imagine, it's not the end they ever wanted for their baby.
No, just such a devastating story for this family. Fox Carolina's Amber Worthy live for us in Greenville at a school that meant a whole lot to Dorian tonight. Amber.
Yes, it was here where his friends say he spent a lot of time supporting young basketball players. He played professionally, but he made time to inspire and mentor those coming behind him. So today, this marks the end of his life, but they say his legacy lives on.
Dorian Pinson's mother knew when she posted earlier on Wednesday that closure was on the way about her son's disappearance.
This week, I've had a sense of peace.
Dorian went missing here at Lake Lanier in Georgia back in April. For months, crews have searched these waters. Wednesday, a collaboration between local officials and Bruce's Legacy, a nonprofit from Wisconsin, hit the water at 10 a.m., and by 1 p.m., Dorian was found. His mother is grateful for the support that came across state lines.
Our community, I could not have done this without the South Carolina community. I could not have done this without them. The prayers kept me strong and kept me going.
She has advice for anyone facing adversity after she remained committed to one of the hardest battles of her life, now having to prepare to bury her son.
And never stop fighting. The one thing I said from day one when I came down here, I told Dorian, I will not. You do not belong here. This is not your final resting place. I'll never leave you. I'll keep searching for you. I will never stop.
I want to clap it up, man, for the... First of all, man, shout out to Fox Carolina News for that news reporting. And, like, that's tough, man. And shout out to that mom for staying strong, because I don't know if I could stay strong throughout a situation like that. Now, I know sometimes you don't know exactly how strong you can be until you are faced with the situation to where now you have to exhibit some forms of strength. But man, to have your son missing for 3 months, and, you know, like I said, like once he went down under the water, he stayed under for about 3 months. They had to bring out boats and sonar equipment and so many different types of technology to find his body. And that's why officials have even closed parts of beaches that used to be like man-made beaches that used to sit on the shores of Lake Lanier because of the dangers, because of the obstacles, because of those trees, because of the debris and so many different things that lie underneath the surface. Now, every so often, depending on the weather, sometimes there's a drought to where sometimes the lake kind of recedes a little bit. And you can see the racetracks, you can see some houses, you can see bits and pieces of what lie underneath the surface before the water fills back up. And that's why I wanted to make this short bonus episode to kind of spread awareness, because people that come from out of town, out of state, different places, like, it is the biggest lake in Georgia. So sometimes you get on there and you just want to have fun, which is understandable, which is completely understandable. If it's hot outside, it's warm outside, you see water, you want to dive in, you want to swim, you want to kayak, you want to boat, by all means you can do that, but you got to be smart. But you also have to know the dangers that you may face. So I hope you guys leave this bonus episode. If you guys want to do more research on Oscarville, you guys want to look up more clips, there's a book, I believe, I forgot about the author, but you guys can hit up Google, where he dived into detail those events that led to those black residents being forced out of Oscarville. There's so much content, there's so much stories and information you can look up. Like I said, man, the phone is right there in your hand. Like, we got to get off of Instagram and social media and scrolling and just looking for people to just tell us shit or something to go viral. The phone is in your hand. You want to learn more about Lake Lanier, you want to learn more about Oscarville, you guys can look up the good times, the happy times, and you guys can look up pictures and images. The phone is in your hand. Hope you guys have a great, blessed, beautiful week. Hope you guys enjoyed this bonus episode. And remember, it's summertime. It's going to be warm. There's nothing wrong with going out on Lake Lanier if that is what you choose to do. I just wanted you guys to know some of the history, some of the past, especially the people who don't live in Georgia. So make sure you be safe before you get on that lake. Because as we know, a lot of times when you go down, you don't come up. We know what time it is. This is that.
Brand new LCP.